Greetings from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Monday, February 28th, 2022. Here's an update on our now increasingly lovely 1950 18-foot Chris-Craft Riviera. As you can see, Joe and Rick have finished decking her. We have one small final piece to go in here, and the hatch door, well, basically it just fell apart, and Joe was able to very carefully disassemble the whole thing, put the frame back together, and plank it anew. So it's ready to go. That's the good news. Oh, there's some other good news. I'll keep Joe working. So remember that the ribs all have a blonde aft deck that spills over and down the transom. Well, we have completely replaced the transom and the splash rails and spray rails and the connecting rail across the transom. So once we got finished, where does the blonde area go? Well, it turns out I have a 1950 18-foot RIV down in the barn, and Joe went down and made a pattern, and with our best tool in the world, our little Dremel, here she is. Joe was able to route the sections outlines out anew. So that will all be blonde once we finish bleaching, as will the deck, of course. Then we were really close and really excited because it looked like we could bleach, until Rick started doing some final sanding on the starboard topside. And I think you see the result. He was using the longboard, as well he should, so we don't get oopsie doopsies. And bungs began falling. And so then he got a pick, started doing some testing, and discovered, well, you can see the result. These topsides have been sanded so many times, and the boat was absolutely dry and bereft of any finish for so many decades that the bungs just popped out. The ones you see here that we apparently have not replaced are the ones that we pulled out and replaced earlier in this project. But as the bungs came out, we discovered that many of them were wafer thin because this has been sanded so many times, but also that the wood screws, many of them original, most of them original, were no longer set into the frames. So we've refastened the starboard side, rebunged it, I'd say close to 90%. Then if I go around here, you'll see a guy you've seen before who's having just way too much fun. Because what's good for the starboard side just might end up being good on the port side. Well, see all those little cavities? That's just removing all of the loose bungs. If a bung's tight, it stays. If a bung's loose, it goes. Well, in this case, virtually all the bungs are loose. So the first pass that Joe and Rick are making is exactly what Joe's doing now, and there's only one way to do it. Because if you use any kind of a power cutter or drill or something, you're going to end up walking into the edges of the countersinks. As you can see, as Joe tests and flips, any that's the slightest bit loose pops right out. Now, we will next start somewhere along this thing and testing wood screws and fasteners. My guess is if 90% of them were loose on starboard, I'll be very surprised if 90% of them don't end up being loose on port. So, remember long ago, you heard me say these iconic ladies of the lake hide all manner of nasty things beneath their skirts. And I guess that the quasi-gentlemen of the lake hide them beneath their trousers. This all appeared to be quite tight when we began, right, Joe?
Yes.
And we sanded, and our one way of testing is to take a plastic handled screwdriver and thump the top sides or thump the decks or thump the transom or thump the bottom with it. And you can tell where there are loose fasteners. So we're going to end up refastening most of this port side, just as we have refastened most of the starboard side. The widest of these open seams we will fill with pettit flexible epoxy that takes stain nicely, and we can close these up. But of course, when we bleach it and keep it wet for 24 hours, these planks expand. Actually, they expand quite a bit. They swell quite a bit. But still, we've got a seam right over in there that is, let's call it generous. So, that is our update on Monday, last day of February, and at least meteorologically, the last day of winter. February 28, 2022. And if I may add, I keep getting questions, why don't you ever tell us where you get this stuff? Well, if you'll just go below this video screen and click on Show More on every one of my 900 plus videos up on YouTube, you'll discover a very detailed, very complete, well thought out write-up on this video. Or if you'll simply go to my website, snakemountainboatworks.com, click on How To, the collection there is almost endless. All right, we'll be back at you. Thank you very much from Snake Mountain Boatworks.